What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the South Asian MenSpace podcast. And today I'm joined by Ruban Pillai, and he'll be talking about his experiences about living with stuttering and how he's gone from learning to accept it and live a more purposeful, fulfilled, and happy life. But make sure you check out this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It does help me get more views, but more importantly, it helps get the message across to more and more people. And also, if you're listening in on Spotify, make sure you download it and share it with anyone who you think will benefit from it. The more people you can share it with, the more people that this message can be shared across with. Make sure you watch the whole episode, and if you do enjoy it, like I said, share it. Otherwise, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you. Hi, Ruben. Thank you for coming onto the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Jag. Yeah, uh, things are good. I think um, to explain the other day, I've been up since 5:30 in the morning. I have a little baby, so it has been a bit of a stretch one already. So, but I am uh, um, I guess appreciating now like the sun and the clear skies we have, which is like a nice bonus, right, to the weekend in the UK sometimes.
Nice. So what we normally do is we normally start with checking, similar to what you've just done, I guess,
Mhm.
but just checking you is how you're doing in day-to-day life, everyday life, the last, let's say, 6 months of this year, and in general, how you've been doing. So we'll start with that, and then we'll go into more the depths of the conversation.
Sounds
And
good.
I'm happy to start. So I guess if I was to check in right now, I am doing good. I think. Um, I guess luckily I have had a later lying in bed than yourself. But yeah, I've been suffering with hay fever a lot recently. This whole week has been quite difficult to manage that. Um, but yeah, getting through, enjoying the sun as much as I can. And I think day-to-day life, I am learning to be more present, just with day-to-day life, taking more deep breaths, and as opposed to overthinking, being in my head, I've kind of been slowing down, which has been helping with a lot of things. Just yeah, day to day, like I feel like a lot of things have been more efficient. Get able to get things done more efficiently and quickly, and I'm not worrying as much about the future. So that's something I've been experimenting more with the last, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks, and it seems to be working. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. And for me, I think uh, like in terms of like maybe by the month, it has been um a bit more of the same with the baby. He has I guess I uh put in boundaries, like in terms of the time that you have uh, f- for your own stuff, for your own um, um, like podcast and training and the side things, because with the baby, like it's very constant. Then you have work as well. Then you come back and you just want to maybe rest in those times uh, that you have. But the good thing from the experience is that I have started uh, to let go of things more. So maybe if I was doing too many activities or like jumping into too many things because um, there was just kind of an experience there that I was um, very keen to like do, but then now I'm a lot more intentional with how I spend um, my kind of spare time now. So that's kind of been the plus side actually of the restrictions now on the time available. And then in the same way as you actually, I've been affected a lot by pollen, but I've been having all the tablets, putting all the Vaseline in my nose, sprays in my nose, eyes, and um, doing all that stuff. So it has been okay this week, which is quite a surprise because this is normally like the worst month uh, for me personally. But I've just been uh, really structured with that routine, which has helped. So yeah, that's my update.
Nice. So I guess we'll go into the conversation, and I guess for those people that don't know you, you've lived with stuttering your whole life. It's something that's affected you, I guess, in every aspect of your life as well. And I guess we'll go more into more nuisance questions afterwards. But just to begin with, like, what's been your journey like, um, through learning to live with stuttering, and I guess managing it as well.
Yeah, so it has been a very long one actually. So I started to speak fully when I was 2 years old, but then things were fine for 2 years or so, and then when I um um turned 4 or 5 years old, um my parents saw that I was having a few blocks when I was speaking, and they could see that I was having like a lot of uh, facial tension, and when uh, we went to the doctors, and then they referred us to um, the speech therapist, and did the assessment, and they uh, said at the time that I was experiencing a sputtering, and um, in terms of the stats actually, so um, uh, 2 out of 5 children like experience this, and various forms of it between the ages of 4 and 10. But of those 2 out of 5, only 1 in 10 take it further into um, um, their adolescent years. And you can tell actually now just by the blocks I'm having now in the freezing that I'm in that bracket. And and it's stuttering. It is very misunderstood at times because it varies. It comes in different forms. Like um, the way it looks is very different because different people would have had their own ways of trying to get words out. And yes, there's a lot of like a lot of strain in your muscles and that type of stuff. But the root of it is um, um, uh, a disturbance in the neuro mechanisms around speech. And then on top of that, if you've, say, had a particularly bad experience, maybe introducing yourself to people of authority, speaking in front of your classroom, or just speaking like to a few people in the group, etc., then those experiences can accumulate like a sponge. And it is like kind of okay-ish when you are in that bracket, the young bracket. But once you get past 10 years old, you start to keep in experiences, and maybe like you forget so much what the experience is, but you still retain those emotions.
Mm.
So every time you encounter similar type of conversation, you don't really remember the last 10 times it happened, but your emotional system does. And then that can also add to more tension um, to your um, to your speech. So with the journey I've had, it's kind of changed, right? So from going from a child who was okay, just um, picking, but then as I became um, a bit more older and aware of like how people were perceiving me and how it looked and the awkwardness, the embarrassment, then that started to affect me and the way I acted maybe. Then there's different types of things that people use. So I was um, really good at interchanging words. So if I knew that I was going to block on something, then I would quickly swap that word. Um, but I still am classed as an overt person because I don't really have uh, that many options at times. But I could eventually uh, um, like in the future state now, um, there was like a big shift, and I stopped avoiding, and I made a conscious effort as well to um, make sure that if I was going to block on a word, then I would block, and I would not think of an easier word. And there was a reason uh, behind that, but I can speak about that kind of in the course of for the podcast itself because it ties into um, uh, either mindset aspect of taking kind of um, the like uh, the struggles with the speech, but then um, turning it into a bit of a tool actually um, to enforce kind of like a growth in my confidence and my strength, etc.
So I guess if we start with the earlier childhood, let's say up until you're 10 years old, 12 years old, and you're learning, I guess, how to live with it, how to manage with it. But you also, I guess, in school, you're with other people, other adults, family functions, I assume, as well. And how are you navigating your way through these events? And at that point, what's your, like, have you come to accept your stuttering, or is it something like you're kind of annoyed about and like you're pushing away?
Yeah, I think with me personally, at the first stage of it, I was hit more kind of oblivious about it. As a child, I uh, was extroverted, so I would be out there and speaking to people, and I was I didn't feel like it affected me at that point. I did feel like a bit more stress at times if I was at a family function or temple function, because for some reason, like, you do feel that there's a bit more judgment when you're speaking amongst um people with like an Asian background, or if they look a bit like your parents, then um there's kind of like an extra factor there. And I think it's more because if I was um at those functions and I'm with family, I can maybe see their kind of tension or their worry if they see me having like a stuttering block with um, um, a person there. So I um, did feel a bit more stress at that time, but in uh, um, at school and the sports, etc., things were fine. Um, and I had kind of um, my friends at school. People actually asked me if I had any bullying at school, because uh, in my primary schools in Croydon, and it was kind of on uh, the spiky end of Croydon. Um, but then I ended up actually being friends uh, with the bullies, etc., and the strong kids. Uh,
Okay, cool.
and I guess it helps um, to get through like that first phase, because um, I know people actually who have had um, bad experiences in school, and has affected their confidence actually for the rest of their school life. And and like, you don't really see it then, because you think of it as like an isolated incident or like an isolated experience at that time. But in the future, you can think back actually and pinpoint these various pit stops in your life, and you can think, well, if this happened this way, then I may have gone here now, and then this would have been like the path afterwards. Um, so like in that sense, I did have the full, the kind of testing there actually, and yeah, but then things got a bit more trickier um, in the next stage actually. So after I went in a secondary school, because that's kind of the time when you think a lot more about yourself, your appearance. I had gone from a bit of a rough school into now a grammar school where everyone there is like kind of rather strong uh with their subjects, and they were probably like at the upper end of their primary school as well. So then I was now a bit more like in the average bracket there. Then on top of that, there was a lot more emphasis on group reading, passing the book around in all the subjects, and that's when things got really, um, I guess, stressful at that time in school, and it kind of um, uh, that was a feature actually afterwards. But the effect of it meant that I was unable to fully engage in other classes because was always scared that there would be a time uh, for each person then to uh, take a part of the book and read. But it did mean that I uh, focus more on like maths and the sciences and that type of thing, where the reading time in the class uh, was a bit more less. So you can see, um, even at that stage already, like it's already impacting your subjects and the types of things uh, that you like in school, and that can obviously have like a long-term effect in your jobs and career choices.
Of course, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I guess what I'm thinking is like it's not the same at all, but I used to hate speaking out loud. I was very conscious of just speaking out, and just I was quite introverted as well. So I used to hate English. I used to avoid it by all
Mhm.
means, even skip some lessons just because I knew on that day I'd be chosen to read out loud. But it sounds like with yourself, you've kind of gone in with a bit more confidence, and a bit more, I guess, that extroverted side of you has helped in that sense where you've kind of gone in bold, courageous, and be like, I'm just going to attempt to do as much as I can and do the best I can. Would you say that's been your mentality, or is that something you kind of worked towards over time?
I think it's both actually, because I do think it's something that I did have uh, when I was younger, but then it got affected um, in kind of the teen years when I was um, like thinking more about how I looked and how I was perceived by others. I didn't want to be like the weird one or like the odd one out, etc. Um, so then, um, but then eventually afterwards in um on my 20s, um, that's when things uh um I did kind of a bit of a shift because I then went the opposite way again, and then started to think about just taking on different challenges and experiences, even if it wasn't directly about speech or speaking. Um, that was actually kind of one of the things that took me down the martial arts path, because I did find that um, that was the first time where I was properly training in an individual sport. So up until then, it was all team sports in school. Um, so like a lot of speaking to people and organizing and that type of stuff. But this is the first time where it was more individual, but in like a weird way, you end up becoming more of a team with your club and your teammates. So that's an example of like the U-turn. I spent quite um, a bit of time um, back, backpacking. So my the first time actually was in 2011. I spent 3 months um, abroad in um, Highland, and hit those plans actually. I um, um, wanted I stay out there and do exploring, but then do training as well in the camps out there. And
That's cool.
then before the trip, like I had all my plans, um, like I saved up in the summer. Um, we had a placement job, and I asked everyone, people, they weren't sure about dates and length of time. People were in the process of applying who their grad schemes, but then I did the plan in like a way where um, I wanted like a break. Um, I suppose then it eventually and I took the tickets and went. It became me um traveling alone, and at the first day actually it was a bit scary and like daunting and stuff. But then afterwards, I had the best time there. Um, and with that experience actually, because it forced me to then speak to like people at the camps, and I can engage with different groups, um, and then be a bit more proactive. And it was a good test actually to see like how people thought of me, and my struggles with the speech and everything, and um, people uh, they didn't care about it really. And these kind of experiences, they might have taught me that, like, with all of the stress and all the tension, um, with the speech, this was all happening um, um, uh, within myself. It was like a me problem, and um, so that was kind of the start of a proactive approach to actually to kind of change the mindset around it, and as unlearned behaviors around um my feelings around stuttering, um trying to be perfect, trying to be confident, trying um to um be like a version of myself out there, and just I started to focus on just me internally, and the self-improvement process.
Nice. So how old were you at this stage, roughly?
So this was when I just turned 23 years old.
Nice. It sounds like around that age is when like you started to kind of come into full acceptance of yourself. You're now like taking ownership and responsibility of your own thoughts and like how you want to lead your life. So I guess up until this stage and even I guess afterwards, like just out of curiosity, like when you do go through that stutter, like for example, like in this podcast, as you've gone through that stutter, is there like a thought process that's happening whilst you're stuttering? Or is it more like mind blank? What is that kind of process? If you could explain it.
Like, it's interesting you say that, because um, uh, people, they have asked actually, like, uh, what it's like, and it's actually the opposite of a mind blank because, like, you know the word, it's right there, and it's in your head, and it's on the brink of like like a skydiver. They're on the plane, they're on the edge, and they're jumping off, but they're stuck. If that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
It's just there, but you're trying to say the word, and then that's where the block is. Um, and in terms of the thought process, so the interesting thing is now in the future state now of me, 20 slash 2021, I did a TEDx talk, and but the talk is like just about me trying to share the experience of having a stuttering block, because I did some research and on a TED like page, there's all kinds of people speaking about their experiences and overcoming in their different routes and different backgrounds and stuff, which is amazing. But then I pitched it as something different, something that's like new, um, where I just wanted to convey what it was like to have a block. So the picture is like me, um, like at the edge of a cliff, and I'm trying to get to the other side, and there's like a drawbridge there. Now, the bridge is your sentence. So then you're trying to get from the start of the sentence to the end of the sentence. Now, for someone who is a fluent person, when they walk along the bridge, it's completely fine. It's not shaking, and all the steps are intact. For a person with a stutter, they'll start walking, but they'll find that there's gaps now in the bridge. So there's steps missing. Now these steps are words that they can't say or they're having struggle saying. So then now to get from one step to the next, they may have to pause and take a breath and jump across. And it'll be a struggle to get to the next word, but then that's what they need to do as opposed to someone else who can just go across. um, then the talk kind of like grows, and eventually there will be like different things happening to that person. So if they're getting like tense because they are in an environment where there are loads of people now pausing and staring at them, they can feel that tension. Now the bridge is shaking. So you're trying to focus on this walk, trying to get to that next word, but now everything's shaking, and but you can still see the end in sight because you know the words, it's in your head, you can see it, but you physically have to walk along it. And then now as you have like a lot of fear now because you've been there before, you've felt really embarrassed. Now the gap between the bridge and the bottom now is actually growing, so it's so the drop is deeper, and all that just increases the um, um, like the tension in the experience. But then you kind of push through, you push through each word, and then eventually you take a leap, and then you get to the end of the bridge, and then you finish at the sentence, and then you kind of pause, and you're still sweating, you're still like flustered, but you have like a relief that you've got to the end. So the talk was in that kind of um, in that structure. It was a bit more of a poem type thing, with some pictures and stuff. But that's probably the best way I've felt um, to explain like that experience.
No, I like that a lot actually. Like visually, I can see it as well, and I'm quite a visual person. So like, I guess like when you think of things like anxiety and fear, and you add those emotions onto this, it just makes that kind of, I guess, the depth of the fall more scarier. That bridge is shaking more as well. Um, so do you find things like yeah, what things have you found also helps that like it sounds like there's a lot of focus on the present moment, like focusing on the moment, on the word that you need to say, and kind of clearing your mind in that sense. and it sounds like a lot of pausing and taking your time is what you have to say as well. Is there anything else like you'd add to that list of things that have helped you or have helped other people?
There's a few things actually. Um, say for example, at the start of this chat that we're having now, we had that period where we were silent and just breathing, and those types of exercise actually are things that I do now. So say in the mornings, if I'm on the train, and especially right before I'm going into like a team meeting or speaking in front of people. Um, Second thing is I really want to make sure that I know um, the things that I will say. So I'll have a structure, and say if I'm doing like a proper talk or proper presentation, then I would rehearse that. So then I would know. So I would do like a run through of the entire thing. So just subconsciously, when I'm up there, then I can tell myself, look, I've done this before. I can say these words, and that constant um, um, with that practice, it does help to reinforce belief. Back in the past, like if I've had the opportunity, say if I'm doing like a talk or for speaking in front of people at work, I would a few days prior go to the room itself and then stand at the front, and it just adds um, to the whole a concept of trying to visualize. And then I had friends actually there as well who they would come, they would sit at the back, and then I would speak to them at the front, and then do like a run through, and then check if they can hear me, get some feedback, etc. And yeah, just a lot of that. But the key thing is actually, which I touched upon earlier, is the avoidance part. So I don't swap words. I don't avoid. And that comes with words, sentences, people, conversations, opportunities, because it does creep into every area of your life if you start doing it at the small scale. If it becomes something that you're comfortable doing, then it will escalate. And it can be like a short term uh, pain free way, but then in the future, when you do have specific obstacles or specific things that you have to do that you can't avoid, then you've missed a lot of opportunity to prepare for those things. So um, that's like a big thing where if there is um, like a word there or a sentence or something at the restaurant that I want to order, but I can't say that word. In the past, I would actually swap my orders. So if I was on like a date, etc., then I would change the order because I was unable in the moment to say orange juice. So I'd order like um, pineapple juice instead. And then eventually, when I was doing that, then the stuttering started on um, pineapple juice now as well. So and so it's not like a healthy way um to live life where you're constantly on eggshells, like on like a minefield, trying to um find like the easiest path. And both of us know that we find growth, we find improvement, and we find peace in ourselves when we do take the hard path actually, and we get to the end of it and we achieve something. We like grow a bit from those experiences.
Then I think that reminded me of the idea. it's a quote, I think, and it goes like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're skipping one step in life, the chances are you're skipping that same step in other areas of your life. And I guess things like anxiety and fear is always going to be there, especially when you're on a date. Um, there's that need to kind of um look a certain way or be perceived a certain way in front of the person in front of you. And I guess there's also the element of people pleasing as well, right? When you're in groups. So it sounds like you've kind of pushed through this and you're like, you're going to work on yourself. You're going to do this for yourself. And I guess on dates, like you probably, like obviously now you're married, you have a child, but there was probably a period of your life where you were dating. How did you navigate around that in terms of being true to yourself, being someone of, I guess, integrity and, not compromising yourself, but equally trying to impress the other person? Because there's always an element where you want to impress the other person in front of you. How did you kind of navigate around that?
So I think like um in those environments actually I was fairly good at the start because I was able to um be confident and and to like be um um what's the best way to say it, like charming or and that kind of stuff.
What
um
did sorry to interrupt. I
no
was
go
just
on.
wondering, what did confident feel like in that stage? Like when you were going
Oof.
in
Yeah,
feeling confident, what was the difference between when you didn't feel confident?
I think you feel like kind of there is a buzz. You feel like a bit taller. You just feel
Mm.
like you can breathe easier. Then you just feel like everything's opened up in your system. So like everything working. Your breathing is calmer, but it's fuller. Like you aren't stressing out. Yeah, like I'm found ways of avoiding saying stuff on the menu by either switching or pointing to it. Um, so those were different tricks that I did at the time. Where I think back now and think, wow, like um, just doing those small things, it was easier than just experiencing the block and doing it. But by doing that, I was, I guess, showing to myself that I was embarrassed about it. And then at the same time, I was hiding an important part of me. Because um yeah, sorry, then on top of that, like I um had, I don't know, like jokes or comments or all that type of stuff. I have um uh that type of um thing where I um mem make a pun out of myself, etc. And yeah, then but the tricky part came actually when things when they went well, and if they were going further, then that's when I'd get more nervous and stressful when I'd then have to like get past the small talk bit, which is easy, and then now have actually proper conversations where I didn't want to actually talk about stuff. So then that's when I started to close up or distance myself, self-sabotage, etc. Because I think deep down, I didn't want to take it further and then end up having to meet friends and family like who then like judging you, assessing you. If you have a little block, then they'll think like, okay, so like this guy's got a problem. Do I want them to date my daughter? Do I want them to be involved in this family or this friendship group? And like I know it's like extreme thoughts, but these are genuine things that I was thinking and I was fearing. So so there was a lot of I guess self-sabotage at that time. I didn't really have any proper relationships, just more just me speaking to people, um, but I did not take it further, um, purely because I did feel more comfortable as like a single person without those type of ties of responsibilities. Um, so that's how I could felt. It did feel good at those times, but beyond that, it was thinking back now, like a bit of a lonely way of of approaching life, I think.
I guess in my head, I'm thinking like I feel like there's thoughts that are also similar to I guess how like people without stuttering would have as well in the sense of worrying about what other people think. I think it's quite common in South Asian culture as well, right? Where you're trying to impress the family, you're worried about judgment, what they may think, and you're trying to navigate around that. Um, how did your parents kind of help you start the kind of whole journey? Like, were they quite supportive? Were they did they have to overcome their own perceptions and own beliefs in that sense as well?
Oh yeah, it's good as in like yeah, so like um with them actually, this is good because um the interesting thing is that they've probably seen me stuttering more than mm, me myself because I can't really think back and pinpoint things from when I was 5 years old, etc. But they can, so they've probably seen more in that time than me. But now, so from the age of 4 to about 8, I did go to speech therapy, and they felt that it didn't make any improvement in my speech, which is true. Um, so we end up stopping, but and end up doing elocution, which is you go to classes where they teach you how to stand up and speak poems with like kind of acting and that type of stuff. Um, and so I was doing that when I was 8. Um, my brother joined as well when he was 12, so we were both um, doing that at the same time. So
This is your older brother
yeah, yeah,
or young? Yeah.
it felt normal then because he was doing as well, right? So
Mm.
and then it was a good way just for me to like practice speaking with the kids and that kind of stuff. Then I was doing it for about like a year, and um, then my tutor said, "Hey, like, do you want us to put him through the um like exams because they have like a syllabus where you do grade 1 to grade 6, 7, then like bronze medals and that type of stuff eventually in the future." And we thought, yeah, just um we can just see and then do it. So then you effectively learn like 2 poems by heart. Then you practice like speaking it with emotions and trying to add like different tensing and that type of stuff. So then I did my first exam when I was 9. Then um, um my mum and I went. Um, she dressed me up in like a shirt, trouser, with a tie, and um, um, gel in my hair, and then went into a room. There were 3 people in there in like a kind of a small room with a stage. Then you have your little sheet. It has the name of your poems, and then the script there with like all the grade marking like sections. And then you give it to them, and then you stand at the front. Then you introduce yourself. You say the title and the author, and then you say it. And then it just came out like a um like those things like you hear in like the radio, or if you got a book in um or, uh with the Audible, um and then uh finish off the poems. Then you kind of wait. They do like a marking thing on the sheet. Then you get it back, and then I got for that one um uh distinction, um which for um uh which was great. And then went back, and my parents they were pleased, right? Because um um with like the stuttering and all the struggles in a speech, I still I demonstrated the ability actually to speak in public. So then that was the first year. Then I ended up staying with speech and drama till I was 16 years old. Um, so it's something that I did throughout school. So even though I was in school and I struggled, I'll still be going to these classes, practicing poems that now turn into verses, so Shakespeare, that type of stuff. Then on the spot reading. I went up to grade 7 um, in that syllabus, and with each one as well, um, a distinction as well. And I was proud because for each one, I always made sure that I got 10 out of 10 in up in the presentation section, which was shirt, tie, and hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a constant thing. So but then still like um in that period they were still scared about like after school um in the job market, like trying to get a foothold in the world, and then and then steps afterwards. So the interesting thing is that I can't remember us actually talking about like speech therapy and that type of stuff from the age of 18 on. On because I think the last time I did speech therapy at that time was when I was 17, 18. So I did some um, therapy with a specialist, um, and then she arranged a few sessions with like a group in Croydon. Um, and yeah, so this was just at the end a school time, but there was but then here with that block actually it stopped because of funding, etc. But then like eventually, so um now when I'm 26 right now, I think it was, I'm I ended up taking a job in the Midlands. So had to had to move actually up um to Birmingham, and then I lived there and worked there. And then I randomly saw, it wasn't random actually, sorry. So so things with my job, they were good, but I was still fearful of speaking and that type of stuff, and avoiding there as well, which is a theme, right? So then come to the end of my first year there, I think, and then had like a very candid chat with my manager at work, and then he said, "Look, I think you're great and everything." But you got to find a way to share your ideas in front of senior people if you want to actually make progress in your life here and everything. And that's not just with this company. It could be a company in the future or like a different sector, whatever it is. This is finance. Um, and then so I said thanks and everything. And I went online. I saw there was like a random um like thing there they were doing with the uni where they were testing out like a new speech therapy thing. They needed volunteers. There was some Australian based technique. So I signed up because it was in Birmingham. It wasn't too far away, and I was keen, and it was supported by work as well. So I got some time every week on that day just to step out a bit early and then go to that thing after work. um, did their did their trial block, so then it was with various um, speech therapists in the last year of study, and the supervisors. Um, I enjoyed it. I thought um, it was okay in terms of the stuff that we were doing, but it didn't really. It didn't really help outside of the room, if that makes sense. So then, um, one day in that period, my mum and I were speaking, and then like I told her, oh hey, like um I found this course, whatever it is, or like a block at the uni for speech therapy. And then she goes, "Oh, really?" Because she had not spoken about this since I was back in school time, right? So at the end of school, 18 years old. So then now I'm doing this now when I'm 26.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, okay." And then um, she was asking about it, and then that was at the end of the chat. And then she went online herself because that's what she does, and then she found something else, which was like a different group in Brum who were doing speech stuff with the technique as well, but they were doing like a lot of activities, and it was also like self-run as well. So it was by people who stutter, for people who stutter. They focus a lot on mindset as well. Um, so then she said, "Look, I found this," and she told me, "Look at the postcode. It's like 10-minute walk." And I said, "Are you sure? I need to take time off work." And then, he told me just do it because the last one's finished now, so it's the end of the 3 month block or whatever it is. So then I said cool. Um, so I did it, and that was probably like a turning point again in terms of being, I guess, thrown in the deep end now. In that week, I probably met around 60 other people who stutter as well, all different stages. They were like running the course and presenting and speaking. Other people were taking part. Um, so um, then during that week, you end up actually going out in the public and doing speaking challenges to people. um, and in that week, you actually get like a lot of public speaking experience really quickly. And it's like a jump start because it does give you more confidence, like um, throughout, and then you finish it, and then they encourage you, look, to like keep seeking opportunities to speak, like even um, start blocking, use our techniques and that kind of stuff. There was emphasis on breathing and stuff like that, which we're doing throughout the week. Um, and then yeah, so I did that, and um, then what they do is in that group you have like a refresher every 2 or 3 months in different parts of the country. So within that year, I ended up going to Bristol afterwards, and did one in London, did one in Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, and then meeting all these people and stuff. So there's actually 2, 3 guys on there now who I'm still close with now. Um, we um so like on top of those meetups, the planned ones, um we would um be speaking to each other throughout the week. So if any of us, if we had something on our work or something to present, we would practice with each other, etc. Um, so in that whole time, actually, like mm, my parents, like they were um, really happy because I was feeling happy and speaking. Ended up going on the radio at one point for the awareness day. I think it was October 2017. Then they were um I had tune, tuning in, um and then at the end of it we then spoke, and um my mum, like she was happy and like emotional, but then she just shared, look, like we've been scared like just this whole time when it's been happening, like as a kid. Like they went to all the temples in London, UK, and Sri Lanka and stuff, as they do, and trying to like pray just for a blessing, um um for some progress. And in like a strange way, that there has been um like a big improvement. There's been progress, but it's been more of me um think about it from like a mindset perspective, and then at the same time, being someone who stutters, I've been forced to go through this self-improvement journey, um, to then be strong enough to then live peacefully with a stutter. Because if you think about it in a negative way, if it's stopping you from doing things, it's a very um, destructive thing to have, because it does stop you from every aspect in your daily life, from going out to speaking to people at the shops, to meeting new people, work, family, and friends. It can uh, take you into like a very dark place. So for me to actually go through that self-improvement journey, to be strong enough to then understand it, accept it, and then now through my talks, through taking part in various activities, trying to share awareness about it, I can try to help. And hey, like if in the end, like if I didn't have this, then I wouldn't like be the person that I am now, and I'm happy with who I am now. So in a strange way, it has helped. Taken a while, but we got there in the end.
Nice. There's a lot you've kind of mentioned there. I guess sounds like your mom has definitely been a strong pillar there. Like she's been very supportive,
Yeah.
both your parents in that sense. It sounds like you found kind of almost like a tribe, and with this new kind of network and this like this training that you've been on, where you met other people, and I guess you've met other people before as well. But I guess it's more people on that path to kind of working on themselves and like not letting this hinder their everyday life. And I guess the key thing for me, I guess, that stands out is like the idea of self-improvement. So I think when I got into self-improvement, it was almost like initially it was like running away from who I thought I should, who I who I wanted to be or who I was, and running towards someone who I thought I should be. But along that journey of self-improvement, I guess it's almost like you're actually learning to accept who you are as a person and then improving the things that you probably could improve on, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, definitely resonate with a lot of that. And I guess the question I had was the person you are now, what's your beliefs, thoughts around stuttering versus like the child version of you, like the 5-year-old self? Like, what wisdom or information would you give to that 5-year-old version of yourself?
Well, that's a good one. I think the first thing is to just try your best to um not hold back. If you do feel like something around stuttering or something in your feelings is stopping you from doing something um, that's a positive thing and safe, etc., then you should do it. Um, because you will always like whether there's this quote where you will always regret the decisions that you did not make. Um, and like in those examples, like say if there is one opportunity to um, give a talk to like a TV station, um, and if they're asking you in school as someone with a stutter, then just to do it because this is your opportunity actually to like do something different, experience some personal growth. And yes, it will be painful. May seem painful for a few minutes of it, but I don't know, like I just find that the pain of avoidance and missing out on life experiences is more. Taking them back to the question, so if I was speaking to myself at age 5, I'd say, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. Just don't avoid, go for it, and try to have some fun on the journey.
And just on that, I guess, like you mentioned your kind of mom going to temples and like trying to kind of bless you in that sense. And I know a lot of other Asian parents, something goes wrong, temple is the place to go. Um, or other religious ways people kind of go through. But did that kind of empower you at that stage when you found out, or was it more like, oh, why are they doing this, or was it more embarrassing? Like, what was your perspective around that?
I think it was neither actually, because I grew up in a family that went to temple a lot. So when I was young, we used to go every I think Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Um, and then all my friends outside of school were from temple. So it was just kids there. Um, so for like them to go to various temples, it was just normal.
Routine.
It was just routine, yeah. I grandma as well. Like between them, um, even they checked off like every temple in the UK. Then we have also been over to India a few times as well. Um, and yeah, just they always said, look, like um, there's no saying where every time you may go to a temple, if it's like a new temple, if you make a wish in some way or form, um, it will like be true. Um, and things like I think when I was a kid, like I just pray if um just to have like um normal speech, but then like eventually I just started to pray for like just to be happy, pray for the health of people, um people around me, etc. And that type of thing, because I think there was like a realization that this was like me, this was something that I was gonna have for like a while at the very least, or for life. But I try to stop being more like internal, and try to think, look, um like when you are in places like temple or places of like service, it's all about giving as opposed to receiving, because you end up, because if you give more, then you receive more in other ways you need. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? So
it does. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and I guess now you're a father.
Mm.
You're raising your own child. Um, how has your experiences shaped fatherhood? Like, what would you say going forward into fatherhood you would do differently based on your own experiences, based on seeing your parents as well? Is there anything else you do differently other than what you kind of
Oof.
mentioned?
Um, yeah, I think so. Like, um, yeah, it's um been incredible. Like in terms of the like responsibility. Like you have this person here now. Um, um, but the one thing I've been trying to focus on is actually, um, guess it's easy to do the first way and like be um, I won't say passive, but be more like part-time about it. So I've got work, I go to work, then take care of baby, then I go and do stuff with at the gym or with friends, or like do my other stuff and come back and take care of the baby and do like a shift system. Or the other extreme is spending a spare time just with the baby only, just doing work and baby, and then that's it. But then I've been trying to have like kind of both in the middle. So I've actually taken him a few times to the gym I train at, just leave him in the car seat, and I train on the side while he's sleeping. And he wakes up, he sees me training, and then he gets excited. I take him to the park, and we walk around the park. Then I do like squats and press ups at benches and stuff, and pull ups at trees, and then he's just staring at me there, and just yeah, like enjoying nature and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when he falls asleep, I try and go to the library and read, do some writing there. Um, I have a newsletter um, where I speak about public speaking, stuttering, and self improvement stuff. So it's a good time actually to focus in a bit and just write. And like I know that he could be up at any time, so there's no room to procrastinate. Um,
Yeah.
so like in that sense, I have been trying to bring all these worlds into one with that, and so I can still be me, but then also be present for him as well. And then maybe in the future when he's older, then if he sees me like taking care of my health, um, then he would also take an interest in martial arts or sports or like football or rowing or something. Like if he is healthy and does any kind of sport, um, that's always a good sign of and say like it will. help him a lot in the future. Like it's because of all the benefits around physical health, but then also the other stuff you get about mindset, challenges, and facing some adversity within a safe environment. Yes, I've been trying to um, do both in that aspect because I do feel with Asian parents you don't really have that type of attitude at times. I think in the past it was very much school, and then now it's like it's improved. So it's like school and activities, but uh, we can speak about it again in the future. But I had a job in the past where for 2 years I was a sports coach with kids, and you do see a difference because like with the Asian parents is more they they are interested in the kids doing sport, but they kind of they outsource it to like the classes. So either bring them there, they pay their fees, but they aren't fully present. And the kids who had their parents there, like maybe doing their own training on the side, or they played as well, they actually enjoyed it more. So it became more of a family experience as opposed to them going to one class to the next class to the next class. So I think like trying to bring some of that where we do things as a family. We'll go to the park together. We all go to the library together. Um, so it becomes a joint experience as opposed to something painful for everyone to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're out of time, so I've got one final question.
Cool.
Is what does it mean for you to be a South Asian male?
Oof. That's a good question. Um, so I think for me, it's like important actually um to first of all appreciate like roots. So yes, I was born in the UK, born in Croydon, but parents are um, um, Tamil, um, and we have like a background. It's important to understand our history um, and our culture. For obvious reasons, can't speak Tamil. The speech therapist, they told my parents to just focus on the English. but, but then I made a conscious effort to understand food, so I'm actually good with doing curries and all that type of stuff and short eats. Um, yeah, so then understanding the history, understanding who we are um, in the past, but then also appreciating as well that uh, we are kind of in um, an age where it's important to understand and to give back to the people around us, the community, the locals as well, because we are we are British, but we do represent a different type of Britain that some people that they may not really understand and fully accept. So it's up to us to actually um, to be an example for for people out there who are Asian and who are male, that we do have a place in this country. We can be a positive person in the country, and it isn't about forgetting our past or being a coconut and that type of stuff. it's about working like as one. And I think like when people have struggles, it's more that we don't have a reference point. We don't really know like who we are, because I guess it's different in the past when you're Tamil, you're in a Tamil country, and like you're with your own people, then it's easier. But here you could be a bit more isolated. You could um, be struggling to find the best place, like in that aspect. And yes, this world is confusing, but it is important for us to show that you can be a strong male, a strong Asian male in that aspect. And it goes by overcoming your own challenges, talking about it, and hopefully giving confidence to other people that they can do the same and live a happy life. And I think that's it, really.
Nice.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for
No
sharing your
worries.
experiences. I would love to have you back on down the line. But
Likewise.
yeah, any final words from your side?
Um,
And also, sorry,
gone.
where can people find you as well?
So I think the two best places to find me are with my Instagram and my LinkedIn. So uh, it the handles, they're both uh Ruban Pillai. Um, so yeah, just if
I'll
you
share those
thank you.
underneath as well.
If you have any questions or anything about the content of this podcast, you could always ask me. Because I'm there to share, to have a chat, and to increase awareness of the topics that I've spoken about in this chat. So thank you again IT, for the opportunity. I have really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Your pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.